Breaking news: Putin's cynical mediation offer in the Middle East is a complete joke. Russian President Vladimir Putin has offered to mediate the Israel-Hamas conflict after the largest escalation in the Middle East in decades. He emphasized the importance of ending the violence at the time. Russia is ready to coordinate with any and all constructive partners. The cynical proposal from Moscow needs to be seen for what it is: a joke. On Monday, the dictator called the heads of Israel, Iran, the Palestinian Authority, Egypt, and Syria in an effort to broker a ceasefire. The Palestinian ambassador to Russia called on Hamas to release hostages within 90 minutes of Putin's call to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Hamas later claimed it would release hostages other than Israelis when conditions allowed. Was that just a bunch of luck? Russia has offered to once again play the role of a nation that mediates disputes, while also raising and lowering tensions to achieve its own goals. Russia, an Iranian ally, has spent years courting Islamic radicals, and delegations from Hamas have visited Moscow both this year and last. However, there is no definitive evidence linking Russia to Hamas terrorist attacks on Israel. Russia undoubtedly benefits from the recent outbreak of violence because it has shifted media attention away from Ukraine and toward the Middle East, and because it provides Republicans in Congress with an argument for why they should stop providing aid to Ukraine and start giving it to Israel instead. Putin has long used the strategy of trying to mediate crises, especially ones he has caused. Russia frequently escalates and then de-escalates conflicts, using the resolution to bargain with the West as the carrot and the threat of the situation spiraling further as the stick. It's all part of the Kremlin's crisis propaganda for export, which promotes the idea that Russia is a peaceful nation while painting the West as a belligerent, destabilizing force. Over the course of the past month, Putin has offered to mediate not just the Middle East crisis but a number of other conflicts as well. Putin has recently proposed intervening in the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh and the crisis caused by Serbia's military buildup around Kosovo. Russia has made it clear that it must approve any solution. Nonetheless, Russia fanned the chaos that was already raging in the region after relations reached a near boiling point following an attack on a Kosovar village by Serbian gunmen. Previously, Putin had positioned Russia as a peacemaker in hotspots such as Syria, Africa, and the Korean Peninsula. If Western observers can see through the propaganda, then what is Putin's strategy in stoking conflict while portraying himself as a peacemaker? Although they may be affected, the primary goal for the Kremlin is to influence the global South, from which it needs critical support. Russia intends to use these ties to increase its economic and global political capital, as well as to recruit more supporters for its war in Ukraine. Both the second Russia-Africa summit that Putin hosted this year and the tour of Latin America by his foreign minister used colonial history to portray the West in a negative light, and in August, Johannesburg hosted a summit of the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Russia and China are bolstering these organizations to weaken the West and promote the myth of a multipolar world. It's important for Westerners to realize that they aren't competing with Russia in the global South, but rather in the digital sphere. The Kremlin-backed news outlets RT and Sputnik consistently portray Russia as a force for good in the world, ushering in stability wherever it goes. They serve as warning signs that the West, and the United States in particular, are to blame for the destabilization in the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Russia's propaganda has been successful in convincing the global South that the Kremlin is the good guy in global affairs, standing up to the warmongering West, as evidenced by Russia's consistent success in getting its way at the United Nations. Unless the United States and its European allies devise a plan to spread the truth that Russia is not a mediator in global conflicts but rather an arsonist in the guise of a firefighter, this situation is only going to get worse as Russia continues to inspire new instabilities around the world.